Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, My Producer Journey. I'm Naresh and thank you very much for coming to join me on this new channel. This is a channel for us guys who are into music production. It's fundamentally around us creatives, producers, DJs. So I want to kind of introduce the idea here today about ultra-wide screen monitors. Now, I know there's quite a lot of discussion here on YouTube about should you invest in one. I have invested one after some debate. I went through the single monitor, then the double monitor, and eventually I got to this. Now, as good as it is, it has some drawbacks, but let's start with the pros. So first of all, obviously it looks beautiful. They are really nice curved screens, really immersive. So if you're a games player, fantastic. But for us in our community here as music producers, this is, I guess, a great way if you use Ableton like me to have the whole thing across the screen. You can see your arrangement from left to right, and it really is a pleasure. You know, it really is nice to see that arrangement. It almost actually does make it easier to see where you've got FX and where you've got little bits of things of trying to make your track interesting. It also kind of gives you an opportunity to see your track visually, which I think is quite interesting. I think if you can see the arrangement, you know what's happening where. Certain things that are kind of bread and butter for us who are producing techno or tech house, we know where things are going to be. So you know where you want your hi-hats and where you want your rolls, you know where you want your drop, what needs to be around that drop. These things are easy to see, and I guess, you know, it's akin to looking at the CDJ and the wavelength and knowing what's coming up, knowing what you want to drop in. So I guess the two things go hand in hand. So there's a great visual element to it. Aside from that, productivity is probably one of those ones that people talk about. Now there's a pros and cons. So first of all, yes, it is quite useful to have multiple screens, to have a tutorial running on one side and your video, your door open on another. It is fantastic to see things side by side and not have this monitor pane going down the middle and getting in the way. So it's a luxury, I guess, and you know, because if you've only got two monitors, you are actually used to that. And sometimes I found that actually having that split actually does help, because in your mind you split out the two things. However, the disadvantage with this sometimes is, I guess, the ergonomics. You can actually feel the problems in your neck because you're always looking in one direction. It doesn't help, and I often feel that sometimes I'm getting some sort of neck cramp just because I've got my door to the left side of the curved screen, and so I'm looking at that side more often than to the right, rather than centrally where my neck would be naturally aligned. So that is something that you need to consider here. I often find myself now putting the door in the middle, or you know, other than if I'm looking at the arrangement, but if I'm looking at clips or if I'm working on specific things, I tend to move the window in the middle. And I guess the beauty of it is you don't have the sort of split down the middle, which is great, but you don't then use the side elements of the whole ultra-wide monitor. So there's that kind of negative element to it. But I think there's a workaround to that, and you position these things in the middle. And there's, you know, I found that you can get hotkeys that are a little, if you're on the Mac, there are little apps that you can use that using the hotkeys, you know, quickly rearrange your videos to have them centrally aligned, have them open to a certain size and, you know, length and width. It kind of gets around the problem, so it's not too bad, but it's something to bear in mind. I guess the other thing to also then think about finally here is the space. They take up some space. You do need a pretty long desk, I would say, to have a monitor like this. They're not as versatile as maybe having a couple of screens that you could put on and split them out a little bit. I guess you can't really have two monitors in different places in the room either, because obviously it's just one. I guess you know, for some of you who have a monitor for door and want to place it next to your hardware, but another monitor for doing something else, you know, watching videos or whatever, then you kind of lose that element to it. But I mean, you know, it is what it is. You buy it for having everything in one place, and so with that it comes with its size requirements. The other thing to talk about then, I guess, is the price. Yes, these are not cheap. I got this, I think, for about 700. It's a 43-inch Samsung. You know, I got it from Amazon, and I got lucky on the price. They had some sort of sale on or something. So they are expensive. 2 monitors probably set you back a couple of £100, couple of $100. But this is obviously 3-4 times that. But then it's curved. You're paying for aesthetics. You're probably also paying for performance. I know that if you're a gamer, you know, they're very immersive. They are designed to handle intense graphics at an accelerated speed, and so if that's your sort of cup of tea as well, then they're great. And yeah, I mean, personally, I've never used it with computer games. I've watched a few Netflix on there. Yes, it looks good, but you know, that's not what I bought it for. But you know, it's a couple of more use cases, a couple of more plus points on the business case why you should buy this, and maybe helping to convince the mum or dad or the missus to why you should, you know, invest in one. But you know, it's a nice to have. I would not say go out and get yourself this. Is going to improve your productivity. I know there's a lot of people saying that it does from video editing, and it may do from a video editing. I have used it obviously for this with iMovie, and nothing more complex than that, and it's, yeah, it is helpful. Just as you see you know, your arrangement across the whole window, you will then see your video across the whole window. But I often find that we work in chunks, and so you end up zooming in. Kind of defeats the purpose of having all the real estate on the screen sometimes. But as I say, it's a nice to have if you've got the space. If your budget allows for it, or you can pick one second hand, then I would say go for it. It is nice when you're doing side by side. And some of these, my one particularly here, comes with the ability to have a laptop plugged into one side, Windows Mac onto another, and it will display both, you know, left and right. So that's actually quite useful if you're using it for work and play. You know, for many of us who are now working from home, sometimes having your work laptop plugged into one of the ports and your MacBook onto the other, then you know, perhaps you could produce your track at the same time whilst answering your work emails. Who knows? But hey, I'm going to stop there. That is my quick 2 pence on the ultra wide screen versus a dual monitor screen or just a single monitor screen. I hope you find that useful. Any thoughts, let me know, post in the comments. And like always, guys, please do subscribe, show some support. As a new YouTuber, I'm on my mission here to achieve 152 videos. So we're still on it, and we're still going strong. So I'll see you on the next one. Take care now. Bye bye.